Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. So it's my friends at yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we have an advanced level workshop. I will give a disclaimer right here. Some of you will not be capable of doing this because it will be beyond your capabilities. But if you can actually do and follow this workshop, you would be considered an advanced or an experienced crocheter if you can manage it. I did the practice session of this and I realized that I was screwing up, and I thought, what would my mom do in order to teach me better? And so what I wanted to do is break down these steps so that I could actually learn along as if my mom was sitting beside me. So what I did is that I came up with a little mini workshop that is here. It's a free downloadable on the crochetcrowd.com, and I put a link in the more information of this video description for you if you would like that. And that's what you're going to be seeing. So here's the original pattern. I'd recommend not using this particular yarn. It's the Bernat Velvet for this particular concept. The Bernat Velvet has a really a sheen to it that allows the stitch work to be able to slide too easily, and because there's some double crochets that are used in this, it's very easy for the yarn to actually start to worm. So I'd recommend a different yarn. On camera what I'm going to be doing just for demonstration reasons is using Bernat Softy Chunky with an 8mm size L hook. I'd probably recommend that you could probably use maybe Super Saver, Bernat Super Value. You could use that one, or Caron 1 pound, and you can have a lot of fun. Just use the recommended size hook that is on the ball band if you are going to substitute. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take you right now to the workshop, and we're going to beginning to start. I will be long-winded in here. This is an advanced level as I mentioned, so you can give me a comment in the video if you'd like to see more advanced level stitches like this, and I can keep an eye on that to see if there's something of interest, and if it's too hard for you, you can let me know as well. Let's begin. Welcome to my channel, and I'm here to inspire you, give you crochet advice, and help you along with your next project. If you enjoyed this pattern, please give me a thumbs up or even comment so I can gauge your interest. It helps me to know what to film next. So what I'm showing to you is all available on our website, thecrochetcrowd.com, and what I wanted to do is that we need to really think about stitch markers and to place a marker. PM means place marker, and it's easier to be able to keep the counts when we use stitch markers in this particular workshop. If you would like to change the number of these Rising Moon stitches, then what you can do is it's multiples of 19 plus 3. So you go 19, 19, 19, and when you're happy with the width of your new project, add 3 more chains, and then you'll have the balance. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to be taking you through all of these workshops and showing you what you need to do. These moonrise stitches are all done at the same time, so they're not done in rows building them up. They're actually done as a circle or as a semicircle. And before we begin, I'm going to get ourselves started right here, and we're going to look at this more carefully right here. So as we begin our first chain, it doesn't matter if you're following the pattern as written, and so it has the amount of stitches that it's going to be showing, which I'll tell you about in a few moments. And what we have is the reduced sample of the pattern. So we have enough here to show you how to repeat your steps over and over. As I was doing this, I realized that I really wanted to place a stitch marker at the base of where the moon will show up, and so I wanted to put my stitches there, because the stitch right before it, see, this is a chain 1, this is a chain 2, and I really wanted to kind of nail where that is so that I could keep count better, just in case I ever lose my stitch placement of where I am in the moving on the row number 1, that it will at least let me know so that I can count the number of spaces, just so that you can see that. So we're going to begin, and let's just grab some yarn and let's play, and let's see if you're capable of doing this stitch. So let's begin. You can either chain 155 and do the project as written, or you can do a little swatch with me to see if this is something that interests you. So if you're going to do a little swatch with me, remember it's in multiples of 19 plus 5 or plus 3. So 19 plus 3. So let's begin, and so either chain 155 or do the multiple. So I'm going to do multiple. So let's just chain the first 19. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. There is one multiple of 19. Let me just back you out a little bit. So let's do another multiple of 19. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. And I'm gonna do one more multiple of 19 so I have more to work with. So let's do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Once I have my multiples of 19 and I'm happy with the width, you need to add 3 more chains to have balance. So 1, 2, 3. So I now have officially multiples of 19 plus 3. Before you begin, I want you to grab some spare yarn, just cut little strands, and you're gonna use these as stitch markers, but if you prefer to use real stitch markers, that's up to you. And we're gonna start our first pass going across. So I technically here will have 3 sunrise moon stitches because I've done 3 multiples of 19. So here on the blanket, this is the actual pattern itself, and you can see here's what we're trying to achieve. So you can see that once we get beyond this, we can get started and do this over and over. So you'll notice that the repeating here is showing from rounds number 3 all the way through number 6, just like you see there. So it's a total of 4 rows that make up the repeat. So row 1 and 2 is gonna get ourselves established so that we can begin to really play with this idea. Let's start row number 1. Okay, so let's begin row number 1. You're gonna go 3rd chain from the hook. So this is 1, 2, and the 3, and go to the back hump of the chain, and that's where you're gonna begin. And you're going to put a double crochet there. So you should know that the 2 chains we just skipped over are not counted as a stitch. It's just a builder. Okay, you ready for more? Now you're going to chain 2 and skip 2 chains here on the chain itself. So 1 and 2 you skip, and you're going to single crochet the next. Okay, I'm gonna hold for a second. And then you're going to chain 2, and you're just gonna skip another 2 chains and go to the 3rd one. And I'll hold for a second. You're now only gonna chain 1, and you're only gonna skip 1 chain, and you're going to single crochet the 2nd one away. And I'll hold. You now are going to chain 2, and you are going to skip 2 stitches, but before you do that I want you to grab a stitch marker. This will be your first sunrise moon going in. So skipping 2, and you're gonna single crochet in the 3rd. Just let that rest in there so you can see it. If you think it's gonna fall out, you can secure it even more. It's up to you. And in my case, what I'm gonna do, because I'm running a tutorial, I would have just let it just kind of be on its own, but I know myself, so I'm just going to put it in so it secures itself a little bit better so it doesn't fall out so easily. So this is the center point of the moon. So we're now going to do opposite to what we just did to get ourselves into that spot. So now you're just gonna chain 1, skip only 1, and single crochet the next. And I'll hold for a second. And if you think about it while I'm holding, is that the center point has been marked, so on the 2 spaces that are the 1 space that are on either side of the center point are just chain 1 spaces, if that helps you to know that. Now we're going to continue. We're gonna get ourselves to the next moon rise that's gonna come up, and so there's gonna be a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 chain 2 spaces in order to get there, and that means that you're skipping over 2 chains as you go. So how I would do it in your head is that you're gonna chain 2, skip 2, and single crochet in the next, and say this is 1 of 4. Say that in your head. Can you say that? 1 of 4. Chain 2, skip 2 more chains and go to the third one and single crochet, and that'll be 2 of 4. I then want you to chain 2, skip 2, single crochet into the next. That is 3 of 4. Chain 2, skip 2, and single crochet in the next, and that was 4 of 4. And so you should be able to count now that you have 4 groups of these chain 2 spaces. And we're going to be heading into the next moonrise really shortly. So to get there we need to chain 1, and we're only going to skip 1, and we're going to single crochet in the next. And I told you that there's always a single crochet, there's always a chain 1 space before the center point of a moonrise, so therefore the next one will be the moonrise. So you're gonna chain 2, and you are going to slip in another stitch marker into that space so that you'll see it. And this will be the second time that you'll have a moonrise in your sample. So if you're skipping 2, and I've already chained 2, you're gonna go into the third one, and then you chain 1, skip 1, and single crochet in the next. And so these are the chain 1 spaces on both sides of your moonrise. This is your moonrise, these are the spaces. So you're gonna continue in the same manner going all the way across, just like I'm showing you. So I'll show you another set because we're here anyway. So how many chain 4 spaces will you have before you get to the next moonrise? It is 1 of, do you remember? It's 4. So you're gonna chain 2, skip 2, single crochet the next. That's 1 of 4. Say that in your mind, 1 of 4. Chain 2, skip 2, single crochet the next. That's 2 of 4. Chain 2, skip 2, go to the third. That's 3 of 4. Chain 2, skip 2, go into the third. That is 4 of 4. Okay, you ready? The moonrise stitch is coming up soon. So you're only gonna chain up 1, skip 1, single crochet the next, and the moonrise has to be the bottom one of the next here. So what I'm about to show you is that we're gonna put the moonrise in again, but I'm running out of stitches, and that's because the moonrise is gonna be on the end. So you gotta repeat your stitches over and over and over. So here's going to be the repeat until you get yourself all the way. So let's put in another moonrise. So you're going to chain 2, and you're going to put in a stitch marker so you can see it. So you're skipping 2, single crochet the next, and then you were going to put in chain 1, skip 1, and single crochet the next. So after this chain 1 space, if you need to repeat over and over, you'll have 4 chain 2 spaces again, and then you'll begin and start with the chain 1 space, and then the next one is going to be your moonrise, and etc. But as you're coming close to the end, I've just now have the chain 1 space, so then you'll chain 2, you'll skip 2, and then you'll chain 2 again, and you will double crochet into the very last one, and that's how you're gonna finish your row. when you get all the way over there. And so you will have now, as I back you out, you'll have your whole sample in front of you, and you will have all the sunrises all marked on where exactly where they're gonna go, and you're gonna turn your work, and we're going to begin row number 2 and actually begin. So we're gonna go back to the workshop sheet, and I'm gonna show you a little bit more. So when you're looking at this moonrise here, we are now currently at the end of row number 1. So we're going to chain 1, and we're gonna put a single crochet in the top of the first double. We're gonna single crochet into this chain 2 space, and then what we have to do is that we have to chain a total of 6 and slip stitch to where the stitch marker is. That's why I had you put that there so you can see it, so you will not forget where it is. You're then going to chain 3, and then you're going to then just along this chain put in 4 single crochets right into there, so you can go into the last 4 chains. Then you're going to chain a total of 2, and then you're gonna come back and you're going to use only the back loop only in order to do it. So what you're doing is you're turning the project back and forth over and over until you get a set number of stitches that form the moon. Here's the thing, you see the green arrows? Those are the arrows when you're moving towards the outside of your moon, and the red arrows are heading back into the center point. See these chain 2 spaces here? Those are very hard to find. So my mom would have taught me something then. If they're hard to find, what are you gonna do about it? So grab a spare piece of yarn, and every time you have a chain 2, just slip in the spare piece of yarn, and you will see that it will just be woven in and out a total of 7 times. In the future you're only going to be using the middle 5 of the 7, but just might as well just do all of them, because it just takes a few seconds to do. So let's begin to show you how to do the moonrise, and let's also secure in our strands at the same time. So let's begin going across. This is row number 2. You're going to chain 1, and you are going to single crochet into the first stitch. Then you're gonna come here, and there's a chain 2 there. I want you to come into the next chain 1, and that will hold that there nicely for you. Now we're going to begin and start the moonrise. So the moonrises will always start and end the same way when you're working your way across. To start a moonrise, you'll always chain 7 to begin. So you're gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now the stitch marker that's in there, that is the center point of your moonrise. That's where I need you to go first. So to do that, you're just going to slip stitch into that chain 2 space, and you're gonna slip, and therefore it's now attached to that space. You can pull that stitch marker out at any point because you can find it now. So you're just gonna turn your work as if you're turning the whole project around, but just turn around this moon, and to start the next part of the moon you need to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And so this is the point apart where you need to establish the 4 stitches that make the moon rise. And so we have what is called the spokes, and then we have the single crochet stitches. So you have 3 chains that make a spoke, and then 4 chains that make the actual stitch. To find the first 4, what I would do is count back the first empty one. So this is the first one right here. So 1, see this one is single. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's where I would start. Okay, and that you're just gonna single crochet right into the chain work itself. Don't go into a space so that it will hold it. So you'll single crochet once, twice, 3 times, and 4. And then you're going to turn your work back to what you had been before. Here's the tip that I left for you that my mom would have told me. Grab a stitch marker, and you're going to chain 2, and grab the stitch marker so that it gets stuck underneath the stitch work. And so you have to crochet along these 4 stitches all over again, back to the center point. So starting in the first one in the back loop only, so going into the back loop and making sure that stitch marker is going to get stuck underneath, you are going to single crochet in the back loop in the grouping of 4. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4. And we have to get ourselves back to the center point, so now we need to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3 and slip stitch to the middle point again. And then to go back out in the moon to continue the rise, turn the moon and chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. We've now established the 4 stitches that you need, and so you'll see it. It's right there. So continuing with the back loops only to create the texture, you do the 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then turn the moon. You're going to chain 2 and get the stitch marker and place it so that it will get stuck underneath that stitch as well, and then single crochet in the back loop only. As I showed you in the sample, so I'm just doing the 4 in the back loop. As I showed you in the diagram, there is going to be 7 points where this stitch marker comes out. So you should, right now you see that there's 2 points, 1 and 2. You will see a total count of 7 of those. And so here, these spokes here, that is 1 spoke. 2, 3, 4. You will have a total of 16 of those by the time that this moon is over. So to get back to the center, you're just gonna chain 3 and continue to slip stitch and turn the moon. And then you need to go back out again. So chain 3 and then get the first single crochet in the back loop only. That's as hard as this thing gets. The hardest part I found when this whole thing was actually the starting chain. And so there's only 4 stitches. So then you turn the moon, you chain 2, reposition the stitch marker so that it will continue to follow through so you can see it, and then single crochet in the back loop only. So what I'm going to do for you is that I'm gonna leave the camera going. I'm just gonna be quiet now. For closed captioning reasons, I don't want to be talking my way through all of this moon, because it's the same stuff going back and forth, but I'll show it to you and I'll just be quiet, and it helps my closed captioning team not to have to caption so many words of mine. So I'll be quiet now and let's continue the moonrise together. So I'm not counting each one as I'm doing it. I'm just doing a whack of them, but I'm really keeping an eye on these points here to make sure once I see 7, I know that the moon is pretty much over, and then we'll have to have a new moon, pun intended. So that one is the 7th one going in because I just counted a few seconds ago. So I'm coming back in towards the center. So the moon has to finish with you ending on the edge of the moon. So I'd highly recommend to you, let's lay this down flat. Make sure that this here is not twisting in any kind of weird way, so things might just need to be pushed and adjusted a little bit. You can take out the stitch marker because you know where it is. And so you should be able to count 7 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we know that that's in. I want to leave that in. So when I start another moon, I'm going to use another spare strand so that I have access to that. And we're going to finish this moon and start a new one. And so at the end of row number 2 here, we're going to be finishing with the moon being right at the edge, but we're not quite there yet obviously. So let's start a new moon and let's just take an inventory of where we are here, because we can see that the start of the new moon is over here. So when I'm looking at it from this perspective, it's just the starting is getting harder, is hard on this thing. So we have a chain 1 space here, and then we have the 4 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are the chain 2 spaces. So you're going to skip the first chain 2 space that you have, and you're going to come to the second and you're going to single crochet that one. You're then going to chain 1 and then come to the next chain 2 space and single crochet. So the 2 middle here chain 2 spaces end up with a single crochet, chain 1, and a single crochet that will separate those. And now we're ready for the new moon. You're going to now chain 7. I told you that's how we start a moon. So we're going to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you are going to jump the next chain 2 space, the next chain 1 space, and come into the stitch mark space, which is the center of the moon, and you are going to slip stitch to hold it. You're then going to turn and chain 3, and remember what I said to locate the 4 stitches. Just look back. This is the single, so you're going to count back 4, so the empty ones. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's where you're going to start your first single crochet. And you don't worry about the back loops on the very first one because there is no back loop, and you'll see that in the pattern itself. It doesn't indicate it's a back loop because there's not. So you're going to do the 4 and then you're going to turn. So you'll need another stitch marker, so chain 2 and use another stitch marker just to kind of hold it in there. And in the back loops only, you're going to do the first 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then chain 3 to get back to the center point. So 1, 2, 3, slip stitch to the center, turn only that moon. You don't need to turn the whole project. So just chain 3 and in the back loops of the 4. Okay, and then you turn just that moon, chain 2, and then move that stitch marker up so you can find that. Those are going to be what's going to help you really in the future. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to turn off the camera now and I'm going to do the rest of this moon, and then I'll be back in a few seconds from now and I'll get that done, and we'll just cover on doing another moon, and then we'll just finish off row number 2 together. So I've now just finished my next moon. I can see that I have my 7 points in here, and there will be a total of 16 of these spokes that are you can be able to count. I would rely on the 7 though. That's just me. So what I would like to do then is just attach this down, and then we're going to start another moon. And so when you're looking at this from this perspective, you were going to skip the first chain 2 space. So there's a chain 1 that's kind of hidden here, a chain 2 space, a chain 2, chain 2, and chain 2. Those are the 4. So you're going to work on the second chain 2 right here. You're going to single crochet, chain 1, and then go to the next chain 2 and do that. And then you're gonna start your next moon again. So do you remember? It's chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and then just reach on over to the one that has the stitch marker in, because that's the one you need to focus on, and you're going to slip stitch, and then you'll start your moon all over again, and just like I had shown you. And I want you to finish this moon, and then I'll be back in just a few seconds, and then we will talk about finishing the row, and then we'll start with the next row, which will be part of the repeat pattern going forward. Okay, so I'm back with my last moon. Are these puns or are these puns? I don't know. So we got 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 of those. So I know that that's good. So now I want to finish my row. So if you want to continue your moons, just keep making more. It's great. And if not, and you're at the end like I am, then what you have to do to finish is that you're gonna come into this chain 2 space here, and I'd recommend going right into the second available chain itself and single crochet in, and that'll help stabilize it. Okay, and then you want to go into the top of the double crochet that you started with there. This is the end of this color, and so you want to finish these colors off, and you want to weave in your ends as you go. Now these half moons look better if the attaching moon, the next row, is the same color as the next moon that's about to happen, and it will really help separate these. These actually look like really large clams to my point of view. Very clammy. So actually it's pretty good. So I want to weave in my ends, so you want to take care of your ends when you go to do that. This is an advanced level pattern, but I will show you how to weave in the ends just in case it's new for you. And you're just gonna take in your ends, and you're just gonna weave it back and forth in the stitch work a total of 3 times. If you can split your plies, you're better off from things falling out, so just don't just go between stitches. Try to ram it between the plies, and then you're good to go. So we're now going to start then row number 3, which will be starting of the repeat, and we're gonna go back to the workshop, and we're gonna start a new color next. Rows number 3, 4, 5 and 6, there's a total of 4, are the repeat pattern for the remaining of this particular blanket. So what we have to think about is that we have to think about row number 3, and row number 3 is more like just, it's helping to stabilize the next moons. So the next moons will be coming into this position, so it's just resting in between of the existing moons. So it's like a moonrise on a moonrise, kind of really. So we have to concentrate, because at this point is that we're going to be creating the space to do a semi moon on the edges in the next row after this, and we have to prepare for that now, and then everything else in between is going to be the same. So these rows that you're about to do, rows number 3 and 5, are very quick rows because they're the stabilizers that will hold your next moon, so the moon can actually rise. Let's begin number 3. Okay, back to the moons we go. So we're now doing row number 3. So this is where I finished. So I'm going to turn my work and begin. We don't need to have these stitch markers pulled out yet, but as we work across, you can pull them out and use them next time that you do the moons, but don't pull them out yet. So I want you to come to the last stitch that you did, okay, and start there. And I need you just to attach and chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That counts as a double treble. Okay, we are using US North American terms. So now we're going to double treble into the same stitch that you just came out of. So to do a double treble, you have to wrap once, twice and 3 times, and going into the same stitch. Yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to pull through 2s all the way back to the top. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I'm going to move the straggler out of the way. Also going to bring you in a little closer here so that you can see where you're going to go. So each one of these are marked of where that chain 2 space is. So it's very hard. See, you can't, if I didn't have it there, you probably wouldn't be able to see it very clearly. So I need you to chain 1. Now the ones that are marked here are the ones that you want to play with. So to start, you're going to go to the second one that's marked. The first one, don't worry about it. We just did it just so that we can see it. So because we have the stitch marker there, we can actually see where that chain 2 space is. So we're just going to go into that one that's marked, and you're going to slip stitch, and that's going to hold that into position. You're then going to chain 2, and then you're going to go to the next one that's marked. Do you see how much easier that is than it is to count and try to figure out where it is when you can see it? And then you slip stitch. So chain 2, go to the next one. You're welcome if this just saved you. I did it the first time without stitch marking it, and I could not find where the stitches were, and my mom would have told me to do that. So chain 2, so slip stitch to the next one, chain 2, and slip stitch to the next one. Now here's the thing, you're going to have 5 slip stitching points. So the first one we ignored, and the last one we ignored, and you should have 5 points that are joined. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so that will equal 4 chain 2 spaces. You're then going to move along. So to move along, you're going to only chain 1, and you want to focus right down here into the chain 1 that separates those two, right in the center point, and you want to double treble down there. So you wrap the hook 3 times, followed by a chain 1 and a double treble back into that same one. So wrap 3 times and coming in. Oops, I'll try that again. And then you're ready for a new moon. So let's start a new moon. So you chain 1. So you got the first one marked. You're going to ignore that one and go to the second one in and slip stitch. I keep retaking because I keep single crocheting. So chain 2. It's just more natural for me. So I come to the next one that's marked and slip stitch. So if you see me doing a single crochet, ignore me. It's just a slip stitch. Okay, and you keep doing that until you get 5 points done. So I'm just essentially looking for the last one and making sure I just don't do that one. That's how simple it is. And I'm going pretty quickly now because I can't actually see the stitches. So I can see that I have the last one here. I'm going to ignore that one, and I have attached it 5 times, and there's 4 chain 2 spaces. So to start a new moon, you just chain up 1, and then you double treble into the space that's in between. Okay, chain 1 and then double treble again, and then chain 1, and it allows you to move to a new moon. So you're going to continue to do this all the way across, and so I'm going to rely on you to do that, and then I'll show you how to finish the last one at the very final. But it's the same concept, and you will notice that it will bring it together quite nicely, and it will be a lot more stable in your hands too. So please continue along, and I'll see you close to the edge of the ending of this row. Okay, once you're ready for the edge, I have my 4 chain 2 spaces here. They're attached at 5 points. The last one's not done, and so to finish off this side, you're just going to just chain up 1 and then put 2 double trebles into the very last stitch, noticing that there's not a chain 1 that separates those two. And so this was row number 3, and then row number 4 we're going to start with the moons again, but we have to do partial moons because we're having to create moons that'll be kind of shifted off. I'm going to turn my work already, and these stitch markers that you currently have in, you can currently pull those out. You'll use those again for the next set of moons, so you don't need to waste those. And we're going to start the next row, and we'll look at the diagram first. So as we start the next moon, what we have to do is that there is going to be a section here. So there is going to be the first chain that we're going to start with, and then we're going to come back along the chain, and then going in between the 2 double trebles here as your center point, and you're going to work your way back and forth just like you see. So there's going to be 9 chain 3 spokes this time. Last time there were 16 here, and so there's going to be a total of 9 of those. And what I would do is still mark those chain 2 spaces. What you have to do is that first chain 2 that we have, we need to mark that one and then continue. And so on the half moons you'll have a total of 4 that are marked, and then on this here is what you already know. These moons in the middle, and then the very last ones are gonna look like that. So let's try and let's begin this row. This is number 4. Okay, are you ready? We're gonna start with half moons on both edges, and then the full moons are gonna be in the middle with what you already know, and this chain 1 space is going to be the center of the middles like it was down here. So let's begin by chaining 9 to start. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And what I need you to do, grab your stitch marker that you have, and before you proceed just place it up underneath the stitches so you can see it, and using the back hump of the chain I want you to go to the 3rd chain away. So 1, 2, and 3. And so by putting the stitch marker there you can now see the first chain 2 space. So that was 1 of 4. So then you're gonna do the next one. This is 2, 3, and 4. Now the center point is down right in here where those are. So you're gonna chain 3 to get there, and then come into the center and slip stitch and turn just that moon. And then you know what to do from this point. You just need to chain a total of 3, and then going into the back loop only, and you'll do the next 4 single crochets. Okay, turn, chain 2, move that stitch marker up while you can see it. You just saw in the last row it's a lot easier if it's already there. So put it in and then single crochet your 4 in the back loop only. So you will notice on this particular half moons on the edges there will only be 4 points that you're gonna have on before it stopped. So 1, 2, 3, go back to the center, slip stitch, turn, chain 3, and then focus on your 4s. Really neat idea, right? Turn your work, chain 2, move your stitch marker up, chain 3, come back in, chain 3, okay, turn your work, and this is the 4th time for the point. Coming in, back to the center, chain 3, and turn. So you always have to finish at the edge of the moon, on the outside of the moon. Okay, and then you can just lay it down and you can see that it's gone in there. So this is the first edge. Once that's in, you were then going to come to the middle one. So remember that it was attached 5 times, so you got 2 and 2 and this 1. So you're going to come into the one in the middle. You're going to come into this chain 2 space with a single crochet, chain 1, skipping over the next one and come into the next chain 2 space and single crochet, and this will be the center of the next moon in the future. So now you're going to begin a new moon all over again. Do you remember how to create the moons? Remember it all came down to a factor of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is now the center of your moon right here. So you're just gonna slip stitch, you turn just that section, 1, 2, 3, and count it back, those empty single crochets. So 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your first one there. And you already know how to do your moons. It's a full half moon that you already been doing it already in row number 2. And keep marking those edges. So chain 2 and keep marking those stitch markers and continue to work on those back loops only. So what I'm gonna have you do is that I'll finish this moon and then we'll just review on how to jump to the next one, and then I will see you there in a moment. So continue then, and I'm not gonna keep the camera going because it's the same as what you already know, and I will see you back here in a second. So I've now just finished a full moon. I have my 7 points that you can see, so I know I'm done. So I come to the moon that is here and I'm looking for the middle one. So if it just helps you to count where those are pinned, it's just easier. So I got 2 and 2. This is the middle one. So I want to come to the space before the middle, and I'm gonna single crochet. I'm gonna chain 1 and then single crochet in the next space after that. And that will become the center point of your next moon in the future. So to start your new moon, you'll chain your 7, work your way across. So I'm gonna rely on you to do that, and then what I'm going to do is that I'll pick you up at the end of this row, and I want you to start the moon, and well actually I'll pick up in the last one. We'll start a moon together, and that'll be a partial moon to finish off so that you end up having your half moons for the edge. So let's do that. So do this moon and any other moons, and I'll meet you at the edge moon in just a moment. So I'm coming up near to the end, and I have to do my half semicircle at the end. So here's another full moon. I have my 7 points in. I'm looking for the 5 points. So 2, 2 and 1. So I'm coming into the single crochet into the space before the middle, chain 1 to jump over that, and then single crochet in the next space. So we're now going to start and do the final semicircle, and you want to come in right into the gapping space between the double trebles here. So you have to chain 7 to get there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and you know what to do. You're gonna slip stitch, and then you're gonna turn your work, or sorry, just turn the moon, chain 3, and then find that 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and do your single crochet. So you're just doing the 4 there, and then you turn that moon. And so remember what we talked about is that there is a total of 4 points. So I'm just gonna make another stitch marker here for myself, just 2 seconds. And when I chain 2, I want to grab that extra stitch marker I just made and pull it through, and then come into the back loop only. Okay, so that's 1 point of 4, and then chain 3 to get back to the center. Just turn that moon, chain 3, and back loop only. And I'm just going to be quiet as I do the remaining of this partial. So this is my 4th point going in, So I turn, I want to end up on the outside of a moon, the exterior of the moon, and continuing out. So this is where this color will end, and you can begin another fun color. So I've already shown you how to weave in your ends, so you can just cut your yarn, weave in your ends, and then we're going to begin the next round, round number 5. And 5, we're going to be establishing ourselves the center point like we did before, coming down in the middle. And so at this point, when you zoom out, you should have pretty much almost a close flat edge on the one side, and then your moons in the middle, and then a flat on the other side. Let's begin the next row, row number 5. So 5 and 6 are on the same sheet here, but what we're going to do is that we're going to establish our partial, okay, on the edge, just like we had done before, and we're gonna come down through the middles, and then we're gonna be jumping over and ending up on the far side just like that. And then number 6 is very much like number 2, and the difference is that we're not worrying about the base chain like we used to down here. So we're just gonna be jumping over and just worrying about the center points and etc. Let's do number 5 next. So let's start number 5 exactly where we left off. I didn't weave on in the ends, but you should. I just didn't bother. So I'm going to start with just attaching new yarn, chain 1 and single crochet into the same one, and then I'm going to do, see this first one that's marked, I'm going to single crochet that one, okay, the one that's marked, and then we're going to begin the rest of them as we come down. So you're gonna start by just chaining 2, and you're gonna come into the next one that's marked, and you're going to slip stitch, and then chain 2, and then come to the next one that's marked and slip stitch. And in this case you don't worry about the last one that's marked here on the edge, just ignore it, and you can literally pull that stitch marker out when you're ready. You're gonna do the base like you had done before, so you're gonna chain 1 and double treble into this chain 1 right down here, and then chain 1 and then double treble again. Now the remaining of the tops of what we're about to do is exactly the same as we did down here. So you're gonna chain 1, you're going to ignore the first one that's marked and come to the second, and that's where you're gonna slip stitch, chain 2, you're gonna slip into the next one that's marked, chain 2, next one. So there's a total of 5 points if you recall. See, because I've marked them, I can speed along in this process quite nicely actually. So there's my 5 points. So then you're going to chain 1 and you're going to ignore the last one that's marked, so you can pull that out and then come on down and double treble down here. Hope that was a treble, so you gotta wrap 3 times. Chain 1 and then double treble again. Chain 1 and then look to the next moon. You skip the first one that's marked, go to the second. You're going to slip, chain 2. Next one that's marked, slip, chain 2. Next one that's marked, slip, chain 2, okay, and you keep doing that. You already know what you're doing at this point hopefully, and once your 5 are in, you're good to go. So chain up 1 and then double treble down here, chain 1 and double treble again, very tall stitches here, and then you're gonna come up to your edge. So on the edge one, you're going to ignore the first one, so chain 1 before you begin it and come to the second one that's marked. Sorry, that was it should be a slip stitch. Chain 2, slip into the next one, and then chain 2, and then you are going to come into the next one that is marked with a stitch marker. Okay, and that's a single crochet, and then you're going to come into your very final stitch. with a single crochet like that, and then therefore everything has been marked. So you can pull out anything that's here, and we're going to begin then, and we're going to start your very final, which will be the repeat, and this time it's very much how it was in the very beginning, and the difference basically is you're not working with the beginning chain anymore, you're working with what's already established. Let's begin the 6th and final row in the repeat. To begin the 6th and final row, it's already what you know, it's already what you did down here. The difference obviously is that you don't have to worry about the starting chain. To start, you're just going to chain up 1, and you were going to single crochet in the first, and you're going to come to this chain 2 space next, and you're going to single crochet. Then you're going to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then come to the center point like that. And you've already done this before. You've done it several times now. So then chain 3, you count back to the 4 empty ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where you're going to start. And then you just do your moons as you already know it. They're all full moons on this particular row. So it's everything that you know. And again, don't be cheap about not doing that stitch marker, because you will save yourself so much time, like so much time. And I can guarantee that pretty much. And you're gonna do that. So as you pass, I will just do this first moon, and then I'll show you how to get to the next moon after this one, and this is good to go. And you should be able to do this on your own, and you can always reverse back the video and revisit me another time just in case you need a refresher on this stitch. So now that my next moon is in, I have my 7 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm ready to move on, and so then you're looking for the 5 points here. So you got 2 and 2. There's the middle. So you got to go to the space. And now that I've been playing with this pattern for, I don't know how long I've been filming, but it seems like forever. You're gonna chain 1, and then you're gonna jump over and go there. I actually have this pattern in my head already, which is actually, I'm kind of proud of myself because it is a tough stitch. And it's actually really cool. So you're just gonna work your way, and I'll meet you at the end. Just keep doing your moons. So remember, you're gonna chain 7 from this point, do your moon, and etc. And it's good to go. And I'll be right back in a moment, and we'll recap and finish this tutorial. I think I've been filming all afternoon. I got a lot of outtakes on this one. As I make my way across, I haven't cried yet. It's a pretty tough little stitch actually, but I love it. Like, look at the stitch definition. It's up. It's really making me quite happy. So once I get all the way to the end here, I want to single crochet, and you could single crochet into the chain space or pick a chain if you want to stabilize it. The only thing stable on this is the stitch, not your host today. And then you're gonna go right to the very last stitch, and you'll single crochet, and that will be the end of that color so that you can start afresh. So this then is the end of the repeat. So you can go back to row number 3, and then 4, 5, and 6, and then keep repeating, and you end up with an amazing stitch that looks like this. And this here is the moon rise, or sorry, the rising moon stitch. This is an advanced workshop. Let me know if you were successful. It's hard to know whether this kind of stuff is great on YouTube or if it's too complicated, but you can let me know in the comments, and we hope you have a great day. We'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.